Tonight, will Trump's 25% tariff threats become reality?
It's unfortunate that our best friend, our most trusted ally, has taken this approach.
An industry-wide problem.
This is arguably the most serious threat to the Newfoundland and Labrador fishery since the cod moratorium.
The thousands of workers here in Newfoundland and Labrador who are going to be impacted.
Certainly unnecessary.
Oh my, it's been a rough week.
It's pretty apocalyptic.
From government to industry leaders, we'll hear about the impact of those tariffs on the provincial economy.
This is CBC Here and Now.
Welcome to Here and Now. We begin tonight with reaction to continued U.S. tariff threats. The province has responded by pulling products from store shelves, and it started with alcohol. The CBC's Abby Cole reports.
Say goodbye to Sourpuss, Jack Daniels, and Kahlua. All U.S. products are being pulled off the shelf at liquor stores in response to Trump's tariffs against Canada.
It's an attack that we have to stand strong and united against. Make no mistake, these are actions of a bully, and unless you stand up to a bully, you'll continue to be bullied.
Approximately $26 million in revenue comes from the sale of U.S. liquor in this province every year. But Fury says this move is needed to combat what he calls an attack on workers in the province.
This hurts. It hurts on both sides of the border. But as Canadians, we didn't ask for this, but the moment demands that we respond to this. So effective today or at midnight tonight, we will be removing all the U.S. alcohol from stores across the province.
Tomorrow will also be the start of a buy local campaign, encouraging shoppers to opt for Canadian products instead of their U.S. counterparts. But many shoppers are already buying local and aren't too upset about U.S. booze coming off the shelves. What do you think about the province taking U.S. liquor off the shelf?
Proper thing. Take every single drop off.
I think we have to respond because I think if we don't, we'll just get pushed around. So there has to be some pushback on it.
Are there any U.S. spirits that you're going to be missing?
No, all my beer is locally made.
We have to fight back, protect our sovereignty.
U.S. tariffs also heighten fears about the rising cost of living or layoffs in key industries like the fisheries and mining. And Fury calls on his federal colleagues to help those who are impacted directly. While Trump says tariffs will be removed if Canada takes what he calls appropriate measures to control the U.S.-Canada border, Fury questions that demand.
There are far more drugs, far more illegal immigrants, far more arms, illegal arms, firearms, coming from the United States into Canada than Canada to the United States. I am confident in saying that there's far less, if any, fentanyl coming from Newfoundland and Labrador and going into New York than the other way around.
Now Premier Fury is going to be meeting with industry leaders in roundtable discussions to come up with a plan on how to tackle these tariffs. Abby Cole, CBC News, St. John's.
Well, meantime, the opposition parties are also reacting to the tariff threat. Both the PCs and NDP say there needs to be collaboration between all parties and different business stakeholders to face this economic uncertainty and to support provincial industries.
For me, the big issue here is how do we protect the people of our province, our industries, and our workers, and lessen the impact of these tariffs. We need to have interim plans and long-term plans, and they have not only to be simply about retaliation of tariffs, but we need to sit down and work with industry to make sure that we're able to continue to provide those products into the United States and likewise products coming into Canada if need be.
Right now, this is along the same lines, I guess, of the pandemic response. And
it's important that we show a cohesive front and a strong front and a united front on this issue. It's unfortunate that the President of the United States has chosen to wage economic warfare on the province. I'm thinking of the line from Shakespeare's Measure for Measure. It's excellent to have a giant's strength, but it is tyrannous to use it like a giant. And that's exactly what's being done.
Reaction to the tariffs and the impact they'll have on this province is also coming from economic experts weighing in on Canada's reliance on U.S. markets.
It's pretty apocalyptic, right? For the Canadian economy, we're seeing estimates from serious economists that the economy could shrink in Canada by as much as 3%. That's a big number. Really out of scale with any sort of economic problems we've had in the past. So in the immediate term, it's a really shocking economic development. It's also a shocking political development in Canada. We have, for my entire lifetime, and long before I was born, chosen to have a very close relationship with the United States, chosen to give up certain things in our society in order to align our economy with the United States as part of a broad economic strategy of continental integration. Today, kind of the pitfalls of that strategy are all too apparent. I mean, we've been warned about this. We've been warned that our economic dependency on the United States would come back and kind of bite us in the butt at some point, and we didn't really heed those warnings because this has always been a good choice for us. It was an easy choice to prosperity in Canada to simply export natural resources to the United States. So I just think on a number of levels, even on the broad cultural levels, I see a lot of shock out there amongst Canadians who feel really deeply betrayed that we're being singled out in this way. So yeah, I think it's a very significant event. I see a lot of people referring to it as an inflection point. Regardless of sort of what unfolds over the next few months in terms of the trade dispute itself, I think this is a major redirection in Canada-U.S. relations, and we're going to have to ask some really fundamental questions in this country about what we're going to do going forward.
Well, the Newfoundland and Labrador Federation of Labour is concerned about worker and job protections. Union leader Jessica McCormick spoke with the CBC's Rosemary Barton last night about what she believes the federal government needs to do now.
Focused on this issue for many weeks. Our premier has brought together union leaders and industry representatives, and we've been meeting regularly since December to talk about this issue and prepare as much as we can. The sands are constantly shifting, so it's hard to plan for something until it happens. And now that we know exactly what this is going to look like, I think about the thousands of workers here in Newfoundland and Labrador who are going to be impacted, people who are working in the fishery, which will be most acutely impacted in the coming weeks. Oil and gas, critical minerals, all really important industries to working people in this province. Our premier has estimated 10 to 20,000 jobs that are on the line. I know that maybe pales in comparison to what some other provinces are looking at, but from my perspective, it's about making sure we don't lose sight of all workers across the country and how acutely this will be felt in a smaller province like Newfoundland and Labrador with an industry like the fishery that it really holds up our coastal communities. First and foremost, it's trying to find ways to mitigate layoffs. So whether it's through programs that we have seen in the past to provide loan guarantees or wage subsidies to employers. And here in Newfoundland and Labrador, because we have seasonal industries like the fishery, are really dependent on the employment insurance system. So ensuring that program is able to pivot to extend benefits, ensure people have that kind of income support will be really important. But I think that the best thing that we can do is try to keep people employed here until those businesses, those firms can pivot, and we can look to access new markets to diversify our economy here in Newfoundland and Labrador and protect good jobs, and in my perspective, good unionized jobs in this province, which feed into a strong economy here.
Well, the threat of U.S. tariffs has brought together two unlikely allies in this province. The Fish, Food and Allied Workers Union and Association of Seafood Producers both want to see a government plan to support the fishery, which they say will be the hardest hit sector. Elizabeth Whitten has that story.
It took the threat of a widespread disruption to the fishery to bring these two industry representatives to the same side of the table.
Absolutely. I mean, I think it just should stress to the people of Newfoundland and Labrador how critical this moment is for not only our industry but our province.
FFAW and ASP don't often see eye to eye, but looming tariffs means they have to work together to survive. For Jeff Loader, the province hasn't seen a crisis of this magnitude in decades.
This is arguably the most serious threat to the Newfoundland and Labrador fishery since the cod moratorium, in my view.
Meanwhile, Street says what's important now is stability. The tariff threat is an industry-wide problem that will impact everyone, from harvesters and plant workers to producers and adjacent industries. Both ASP and FFAW want the province to put together a roundtable that looks at supports for the sector. But what exactly he's looking for, he won't say before negotiations have happened. Last year, a whopping 90% of snow crab from here ended up in the U.S. And while buying local is more important than ever, Street says there aren't enough consumers in this country to make up for exports.
Our industry is going to be the first and we think most heavily impacted in Newfoundland and Labrador by these tariffs.
For the ASP, the goal for this year still is to get local seafood to the U.S. market. Developing new markets for their seafood will take years. Plus, the situation could change quickly.
We're also facing the potential that Donald Trump removes the barriers to Russian crab going into the U.S. market. And if that happens, that's another major variable.
Street says even if the tariff threat is navigated for now, the next 4 years of Trump's presidency will be marked by uncertainty. Elizabeth Whitten, CBC News, St. John's.
And we do have an update to tell you about all of this. Prime Minister Justin Trudeau has just posted on X that the proposed tariffs will be paused for at least 30 days while they work together, Canada and the U.S. So that came from a phone call that the Prime Minister had with President Trump earlier this afternoon. So a pause on the proposed tariffs for at least 30 days. So as we continue on with our coverage here, you know, the U.S. market makes up a big portion of the province's seafood exports. And with that in mind, some are looking to diversify and sell their products elsewhere.
For the last 10 years, we have been substantially, probably 90% of our products are going east of Toronto and Montreal, the bigger centers that are distributing to the food service and the retail in Canada's two biggest provinces. And to some extent, we have neglected to go past the Ontario border and get over to British Columbia and into the western, the prairie provinces and in Manitoba, where I'm sure there is a very healthy demand for our seafood products. And I think that's one of the realistic options. But by no means is there enough market in Canada to replace the American market, and especially for our snow crab products. The last few years, 50% of our products have been finding their way into the eastern seaboard, into the Boston, New York area. But now that the U.S. market is possibly out of the equation, well, now we have to pivot again. And in my opinion, the best place to go is the European Union. And the EU, of course, people must remember, as 400 million people, their consumption of seafood is 3 times more per capita than the American consumer. The European diet has been for centuries surrounded with seafood, and therefore this would be the most appropriate avenue for us.
That was a fairly quiet, cold weekend. We've got a temperature roller coaster on the way, as well as some snow tonight and some rain in the mix for parts of eastern Newfoundland. I'll break it all down for you coming up in a few minutes.
Well, it's a big win for curling in this province. The Brier is coming back to St. John's next year. The last time the tournament was held here in 2017, Team Gauju had a historic win. Here and Now's Maddie Ryan has the details.
The Canadian curling champions!
Almost everyone in Newfoundland and Labrador remembers where they were when they saw this. The host committee hopes it can create magic like this again in 2026. 8 years ago, it was the biggest party in the province.
It does feel really, really good to hear this announcement here today that we can do something for the province here, for the city, for the province. If we get 2,000 visitors like we had in 2017, this place is going to be booming here again.
The 2017 Brier in St. John's was huge for Newfoundland and Labrador's Team Gauju, their first ever Brier win for the St. John's rink, and they've won 5 since then. Fans are hoping to see them win again, but there's a long road ahead for Team Gauju.
Really, for us, the focus shifts. Obviously, we got the Olympics and the Olympic trials coming up, which is going to be the biggest focus between now and then. But right there next to that is making sure we're part of this event. We've got to earn enough points to make sure we qualify, and if we don't do that, then we got to go through our playdowns. So we got some work ahead of us to get there.
The city and St. John's Sports and Entertainment have committed nearly $500,000 to host the Brier. Not only is it a big win for curling, but a win for the economy, as players, media, and fans all flock to the province.
This will be a time to welcome visitors from across the country, boost our local economy, and put a national spotlight on our city and its vibrant culture.
That excitement is already on display here in St. John's and at the press conference at Montana's Barbecue, which is the Brier's new title sponsor. A big enough deal to get the Premier out for the announcement.
But I'm beyond thrilled as Premier of Newfoundland and Labrador that the Brier is coming home to Newfoundland and Labrador. It's a truly exceptional moment, but extra special for the people of Newfoundland and Labrador, as this is the year of sport across Newfoundland and Labrador. Since we hosted in 2017, we've been waiting for this moment.
For people who are interested in taking in all the fun, tickets go on sale for the public on March 6th. Maddie Ryan, CBC News, St. John's.
Well, in a once-in-a-lifetime game, players with the Roddickton Bide Arm Lumberjacks tied the NHL Legends, much to the delight of the hometown crowd. It was an exciting few days in the town as it played host to former Canadian hockey stars.
Coming to Newfoundland, really unique experience because of the hospitality of the people. It's off the charts out here. We have had a tremendous time.
My dad is out there.
What number is your dad, do you know?
66.
On the Lumberjacks?
Yeah.
Not very often you get NHL players in Roddickton Bide Arm, hey?
Oh, it's not at all. No, it's good to see it. Good showing. Oh, it's got to be up there in the top things that have happened here in this area in a long time, no doubt.
Awesome. I grew up playing in natural ice. Obviously, it's a little colder than most, right? But small communities. My hometown's like 150 people. Where I played all my minor hockey is like 1,500 people. So I can relate to these people, and they loved it. Everybody come out, and I think they really enjoyed it. It was fun.
Yes. Awesome. Very cool.
Thanks, James. This is such an opportunity that I'm so grateful for. Super cool to be a part of it.
Oh, great. I think it was an awesome night for the whole community. 10-10 tie. We'd like to get the W there, but that's all you can ask for, I guess. It was a great game, and I'm glad. I think everybody had a great night.
It was a fun event to bring in the new year up for the year of the snake.
And we touched on this just a little bit earlier, but we have a few more details for you now about the situation with the tariffs south of the border. U.S. President Donald Trump has agreed to hold off on the tariffs for 30 days. In a post on social media, Justin Trudeau says that he had a good call with President Trump earlier this evening. He says Canada will be implementing a $1.3 billion border plan to reinforce the shared border with the U.S. with helicopters, technology, and personnel, and to stop drugs like fentanyl to move across the border. Almost 10,000 workers will be staffed at the border. Canada is also making a commitment to appoint a fentanyl czar and list cartels as terrorists and launch a U.S.-Canada joint task force to combat crime. So that is the situation as it stands right now. Just don't know, Ashley, what's going to happen from one moment to the next.
It is constantly changing,
Yeah,
just
it
like
is
the weather.
Just like the weather. How true. How true. But the weather has been pretty steady in terms of temperatures for the past few days. Cold out there today. How are things looking going forward?
Yeah, it's going to change. We are going to see a warm up for parts of the province as we head through tonight and into tomorrow. But we certainly got some snow on the way. Let's take a look at what's going on out there. The cool temperatures, colder temperatures still very much in place up across Labrador, parts of the island as well. A beautiful weekend, really. At least here in the east with some sunshine, but it certainly was chilly. But like I said, that is all going to change. We've got an area of low pressure to the south there, has some warmer air, and that is going to affect most of us in eastern portions of the island in that time frame. So right now, -5 in St. John's. That is the coldest temperature that we're going to see because they're going to climb. Those temperatures will climb as we head through tonight. Minus single digits pretty much across the board with the exception of the northern peninsula. -12 right now in St. Anthony. A little bit of a wind chill. Feels more like -17. And then Labrador, your temperatures are in the minus teens as well with the exception of Nain at -21. And your wind chill feeling more like -30. So just zooming out here just to see what's happening. There's that one area of low pressure to the south. That's what's going to bring the snow tonight. In fact, there's actually a couple of areas of low pressure, one well to the west as well. Those two are going to combine tonight, and we will see that snow move in. Most of us will see that snow start, at least from this system, through the overnight, and eventually most of us will be seeing that snow by midnight or 1 a.m. For the island. Labrador, you're going to just skirt this snow, mainly for the southeast, and some of this could be fairly heavy at times tonight. But with those milder temperatures, most of eastern Newfoundland will see temperatures jump up above zero, which will change that snow over to some showers or even some drizzle in that time frame. That will continue as we head through the morning. So like I said, -5, the lowest temperature that we'll see. Southwesterly winds will be gusting somewhere between 20 to 40 kilometers per hour. And then we've got temperatures in the minus double digits through central areas as well as the northern peninsula. And then somewhere between -15 and -20 for Labrador. Again, a little bit of a wind chill tonight with some flurries there. Not overly cold, but likely feeling more like the -30s by the time we get into tomorrow morning. And there's that warm up I was talking about. 1, 2, 3, even 4 degrees for eastern Newfoundland by the time we get to 6 a.m. and then climbing even more as we head into the afternoon. So wind chills really, other than in the west, where your wind chills will be in the minus double digits tomorrow, it's actually going to be a fairly mild day. So we'll see that move through. Temperatures will actually drop as we head into the afternoon, which will change that potential for rain back over to snow to end this out. And that will move out as we head into the afternoon and evening hours. Northern Peninsula, southeastern Labrador, you'll likely see that linger into the afternoon hours. It's also going to be fairly breezy tomorrow, especially For the eastern half of the island, you're looking at those southwesterly winds gusting 50 to as much as 70 kilometers per hour. And then quiet through the overnight, although we will likely see some onshore flurries develop yet again for those of you in the west. As far as snowfall amounts go, nothing too significant for most. 2 to 5 centimeters by the time we get into tomorrow morning, maybe a little more rather, for the west coast. But keeping an eye on the south coast, particularly inland areas, because you may see somewhere between 15 to 20 centimeters by the time that is all said and done into Wednesday. But again, it will be further inland if we do see that at all. Temperatures tomorrow will stay around 0 or a little bit below, so definitely milder than we've been seeing. And then those temperatures in the east between 3 and 5 degrees, at least to start the day. You will see those temperatures drop as the day goes on. And then for Labrador, southeastern portions of Labrador, you're going to see the temperatures well above where you should be sitting this time of year, into the minus single digits, otherwise minus teens for the rest of the Big Land. The winds will generally be out of the northwest, gusting anywhere from about 40 to as much as 50 kilometers per hour. And this week's going to be fairly busy. We have a couple of systems potentially, with some of us seeing maybe even a little bit more rain. Definitely a roller coaster ride with those temperatures. And I'll break all of that down for you coming up a little later.
Thanks so much, Ashley. Well, the Chinese Association of Newfoundland and Labrador ushered in the new year yesterday with a family fun day. CBC's Julia Israel was there and learned all about the Year of the Snake.
Okay, the Year of the Snake means a change, a renewal. You know how the snake sheds its skin, right? In the same sense, we have to shed our old self and embrace the new for 2025. For better or for worse, we had to take that risk for change, for something better, for good fortune to come our way.
Every year is different, and every year is like a new luck come to you, right? We don't have to be family, but when we're together in here, we're a family at the moment. Yeah.
I really like the dumplings in New Year, in the Spring Festival. Like in China, a lot of families like to make the dumplings by ourselves. Which means it will bring some happiness for you for the new year.
We've had different tables showcasing different crafts and Chinese culture. We had dumpling making. We had paper cutting, lantern decorating. We had a lot of different things, and of course there was a lot of games for the kids to play, a lot of prizes to be given away. So it was a fun event to bring in the new year for the Year of the Snake.
Well, returning now to our top story. Earlier today, Premier Andrew Furey committed to pulling all American alcohol from store shelves at midnight tonight to coincide with the implementation of 25% tariffs. But as we've heard, a lot has changed since then. There's now a pause on those tariffs for 1 month. We don't know yet if that will change the plan to remove the alcohol tonight, but here's more of what the Premier said earlier today.
Certainly, we're foregoing that, but it's the right move given the attack on Canadians. That this is not just an economic attack. It will have a direct impact to our fishermen, to our plant workers, to the supply chain and oil and gas and critical mining, to our rural communities. So this is a call to arms, if you will, for everybody to stand united in the face of this attack. Yeah, and we have to be very careful because these are actions of an individual and of an individual administration. They're not the actions of every single American or every single person in the United States of America. We need to make sure that this is not just an assault on American brands. For example, we have great corporate citizens here who, in Coors, for example, who we all know is American, but is bottled here in Newfoundland and Labrador. Workers, Newfoundland and Labrador workers support that product chain. What this will be, and I think the impacts will be felt most with is things like a direct example would be bourbon. By definition, only ever made and produced in Kentucky. So taking bourbon off the shelves will have a direct impact to bourbon manufacturing in the United States. Not only is that a direct economic and fiscal impact, but it also carries a political impact and a political source of friction, as we've seen in the past. And sometimes those are the ones that have the greatest impact in the president's sphere of influence.
With these tariffs, there's a lot of jobs on the line. Do you have any plans to support people who might be fearing increasing cost of living or even layoffs?
Sure, absolutely. I mean, we've been very strong with respect to the cost of living measures that we've already put in place. We have the lowest gas tax in the entire country. We've cut motor vehicle registration in half. We've provided checks in the past. All of those things we would consider continuing into the future. But we want to see this come to a resolution, a diplomatic resolution, because the U.S.-Canadian relationship is stronger than one administration. It's stronger than one president. It's stronger than one prime minister. We share collective values. We share a collective border, and we share things as a family. And ultimately, that will win the day. But in terms of our local perspective, we will be there for harvesters. We'll be there for plant workers. It demands the federal government meet the moment as well, though. We have, as you've heard me say before, limited capacity to respond as a subnational government. The federal government needs to meet this moment and use every lever it has, fiscal, economic, political, to support families, to support workers, and throughout our province. In particular, as we see the seafood season start, as the fishery getting ready to start, it's going to be incredibly punitive and impactful to our rural and remote communities. They need to step up to help those workers. And I know everybody doesn't want to use the word COVID, but there is muscle memory within the federal bureaucracy to meet this moment. Does it have to be equivalent? No, certainly not. The scale wouldn't demand it, but it has to be similar. In some respects, and some others have said, in some ways, the president has done us a favor here. We should be diversifying our economy. We should be diversifying our marketplace. It hurts to say that because they're our most trusted ally and best friend. And it hurts to even envision a world in which we can't have continued partnerships with the United States. But that said, if the president declares economic war with Canada, then we need to have the flexibility to pivot to other markets. I think the markets are out there. We're not going to find them overnight, but they are there to be had. For example, we know that we have the best snow crab in the world. You can't find better snow crab than Newfoundland and Labrador snow crab. The fact that 90% of it is going to the United States, we should be looking to diversify that marketplace anyway, because guess what? There could be a higher price to be had in different markets. So irrespective of the trade dispute with the United States currently, it would be wise from a fiscal and economic situation and strategy to be looking at other markets.
Well, U.S. President Donald Trump has also paused the implementation of tariffs against Mexico for 1 month. Mexican President Claudia Sheinbaum says she struck a deal with Trump to delay the 25% tariffs on her country. Sheinbaum has agreed to send 10,000 members of the Mexican National Guard to the U.S. border to combat drug trafficking. In exchange, she says the U.S. committed to working on preventing the movement of high-powered weapons into Mexico. The U.S. and Mexican leaders announced the pause after what Trump described on social media as a very friendly conversation. Trump says he's looking forward to upcoming talks led by Secretary of State Marco Rubio. In the meantime, Donald Trump is expanding the targets of his trade war to also include the European Union. Trump has threatened to hit the 27-state bloc with tariffs, saying he could impose taxes on EU goods imported into the U.S. very soon. The CBC's Crystal Gamansing has the details from London.
European leaders are calling for unity in the face of potential tariffs by U.S. President Donald Trump. It's important to remember that the EU acts as a single bloc when it comes to trade, but it's made up of 27 different nations. And today in Brussels, we've heard from a number of leaders. They were supposed to be meeting to talk about European defense, but the economy and how best to respond to the possibility of tariffs has become a center point of conversation. We have heard, for example, from the EU's foreign policy chief, who says that no one wants to be fighting an ally. However, a number of leaders are saying they don't appear to have any other choice but to come back with some sort of response against the U.S.
I think that we have to do everything to avoid this totally unnecessary and stupid tariff wars or trade wars.
We're a small open economy. We depend on trade. And it is our view that the Union has championed that and will continue to champion that. And Europe will work together on these issues and engage with the US in a constructive manner.
UK Prime Minister Keir Starmer is also in Brussels, the first UK Prime Minister to attend one of these meetings since Brexit. He is in an interesting position because at this point, it doesn't appear that Donald Trump is focusing on potential tariffs against the UK, at least not right now. Maybe those will be delayed. He's focused on the EU at the moment. But even if those tariffs come into effect in the EU, it could have a knock-on effect, according to some economists.
If the EU imposes tariffs on the US as well, the implication for the EU economy will potentially be significant, with weaker growth and higher inflation. Being an important trading partner for the UK, that will have implication on the UK as well.
Crystal Gamansing, CBC News, London.
Hi, I'm Rick Mercer with the offer of a lifetime and a very big ask. In less than a year, the 2025 Canada Games are coming to Newfoundland and Labrador, and that means we've got company coming, big time. The numbers are mind-boggling. This coming August, 25,000 people from all across Canada are going to descend on this province for the Games, and every single one of them can't wait to get here. They've heard good things, so we need to ensure they have the time of their life, the games of their life. As a province, we've got to knock this one out of the park. So here's the ask. We need you to represent Team Newfoundland and Labrador at the Games. We need 5,000 volunteers, all ages, all skills. You would not believe the jobs that need to be filled, the experience you will get, the friends you will make. To make these games work, there are so many moving pieces, but the most important piece, the final piece, the mission-critical piece is you. Visit the website, join the team.
Well, to Nova Scotia now, advocates say the story of a woman who died of breast cancer is an example of why women with dense breasts need supplemental screening. They say it can be life-saving. The CBC's Ali Thompson tells us why.
She had every reason to be angry that the healthcare system failed her. We actually talked about that, and I can honestly say there was no anger. And that is pretty incredible when you sit back and think about it.
That's Kim Harris talking about her friend of 40 years, Tanya Harrison. Tanya died last December of breast cancer. 3 years earlier, the 53-year-old wife and mother was told she had dense breasts after a routine mammogram. It can be difficult for mammograms to pick up cancers in people with dense breasts because dense breast tissue and abnormal breast changes, such as tumors, both show up as white areas on the imaging. Harrison asked for supplemental screening, like an MRI or ultrasound, but was denied. The former university librarian felt if she had received it, she may have had a chance to fight for remission. Advocates say her story is an example of why supplemental screening should become a standard for women with dense breasts. Here's why. Ultrasounds and MRIs can pick up things a mammogram cannot because they're more detailed. In Nova Scotia, patients who have a greater than 25% lifetime risk of breast cancer can access mammography and supplemental MRI screening. Factors that increase someone's risk of breast cancer include family health history, whether a patient carries a certain gene, and breast density. But Jenny Dale of the advocacy group Dense Breast Canada says simply having dense breasts should be enough for those patients to get supplemental screening. She says mammography misses about 40% of cancers in women with dense breasts.
And so women must get additional screening. And that is what is being denied to them. So they are given a test that is not accurate. They are not told it's not accurate. They are not warned that they need to be vigilant. If they see anything, feel anything, they need to be their own advocate.
There is currently no organized breast cancer screening program in Canada that offers supplemental screening to women with dense breasts. But some regions are moving towards offering the screening outside of those programs with a doctor's referral. Alberta says doctors should consider an annual breast ultrasound for women with extremely dense breasts on a case-by-case basis. The Northwest Territories says it aligns with Alberta's best practices. British Columbia says ultrasounds are available with a referral. And in Ontario, people with extremely dense breasts can talk to their doctor about being referred for additional screening. In 2023, an Ontario Health Committee recommended publicly funding supplemental screening as an adjunct to mammography for people with extremely dense breasts. The province's Ministry of Health is currently reviewing the recommendation. Tanya spent some of her final days fighting for women with dense breasts to have the option of supplemental screening. And her friend Kim says she feels a duty to carry on her advocacy.
She was very spiritual. We would joke about, the tricky universe sending us messages. 15 minutes after she passed, I got a very, very strong sign from her. I just know. I just know that this meant a lot to her.
Ali Thompson, CBC News, Halifax.
All right, Ashley, time for a look at the long-range forecast. And it's been really cold.
Yeah.
but there's going to be a bit of a change, right?
Yeah, we're going to see a couple of warm-ups over the next couple of days. One of them starts tomorrow, and then we've got another one by the time we get to Friday. Let's take a look at what's going on in the meantime. Things will cool down, though, as we head into Wednesday, as we see another ridge of high pressure move in and some of that colder air sink further south. So back to the potential for some flurries pretty much across the island on Wednesday at one time or another during the day. And overall, our winds will be, again, more out of the northwest. Labrador, quiet weather for the most part. You're looking at some mix of sun and cloud through the day, and again, a return to temperatures in the minus teens and minus 20s. For most of you, and there's that return to minus double digits for the western portion of the island through central and eastern Newfoundland. We're looking at temperatures in the mid-minus single digits. And again, the chance of flurries here and there through the day on Wednesday. As we head into Thursday, overall, the pattern generally continues. The risk of some onshore flurries and squalls again for the west coast along southern areas of the island, as is typical when we see these westerly winds, and much cooler temperatures again through the day up across Labrador. Your clouds will be on the increase through the afternoon, though, and eventually we will see the potential for some flurries and light snow move in for those of you in Lab West as we head towards the evening hours on Thursday. And again, this is ahead of our next weather maker that is going to move in. And for now, temperatures on Thursday anyway will be into the minus single digits, minus double digits for the northern peninsula, and pretty much exactly the same with temperatures a tad warmer, though, for those of you in Nain and Lab City, where you will sit into the minus double digits through the day between minus 12 and minus 15 as your afternoon highs. That will be the end of the quiet weather for a little while, because as we head into Friday, there's that roller coaster of temperatures I was talking about, back up into the mid-single digits on the plus side of the mercury, with the potential for some showers, rain again in the mix. Again, temperatures will drop, though, as we head into the evening, with down to about minus 5. And then for your Saturday, things will quiet down about minus 2, with the chance of some flurries in the mix there as well. Now, for central Newfoundland, you're also going to see that warm up really island-wide. We will see, ooh, what did I just do there? Temperatures, oh no. I'm all went
It's safe to
forward.
say the temperatures in Labrador.
They're going to warm up.
Okay.
Well, a little bit into the minus single digits for sure. But yeah, they'll definitely stay on the cool side. I can't get back to that. I have no idea how that happened.
That was a weird glitch.
Oh,
look, there we go. Yeah,
Figured
let's
it out. That was great. There's Labrador. Let's just say, so minus single digits by the time you get into Friday, and then minus teens, the story for Western Labrador. Our weather photo of the day taken in St. Vincent's. This shot I thought was really cool because it showed the different colors of winter.
Yeah.
You know, the gray skies, some watercolor differences. Anyway, Rob shared this great shot with us. Thank you so much. If you have any weather photos, send them to nlphotos@cbc.ca.
Oh, St. Vincent's. I always think about the show that the whales put on over the summer where they get so close to the beach.
Yeah.
It's incredible to see.
Pretty
that.
awesome.
Beautiful part of the province.
Love it.
All right. Well, that's it for us. Thank you so much for joining us. And of course, we will have plenty of reaction to the news that Donald Trump has paused the implementation of the 25% tariffs for at least 1 month. You can be sure that we will be following that very closely tomorrow. And of course, you can check out all the latest news on this evolving story on our website, cbc.ca/nl. That's it for us. Thanks so much for watching.
Good night.